My next question goes to Mr. Joyce. So, as a technology provider, in the cloud arena or in the cloud, what exactly are the plans of your company in the future, in the near future?
There are 2-3 points that I would like to share with the audience in terms of our experience of working with the SME community. The first point I think has already been debated by the panel, which is the concern on security. Businessmen in India do not like to part away with their business data on a day-to-day basis. However, over the years, what we have also observed is that as the country has grown and the economy has grown, businesses have also started to look at their data itself in two parts. One is transactional data, which is on a day-to-day basis, whether you are raising an invoice or whether you are posting a payment. The other is business management data. Data which is related to statutory, which is related to compliance, which is related to governance, which is related to everything from P&L to balance sheets. The other important factor which we have always encountered talking to our customers and clients is the point of cost. Today, many businesses believe that it is easy to adopt and use Tally as a business enterprise software for one very critical reason, that the availability of trained and skilled manpower to use Tally is very high, versus the availability of skilled manpower to run or use or consume a cloud-based service on an ongoing basis, and the amount of training which is involved to keep that skilled manpower abreast and updated on any service which is being delivered from the cloud. The third point that I'd like to present to the panel is the fact that the cost of investment in cloud-based services is also a matter of concern, and there is a bit of a twist in this concern. One of the reasons that the cost becomes a concern is that in many SMEs, there is no CIO, there is no structured or formal IT setup, and therefore the ability of the businessman or the entrepreneur to evaluate a cloud-based service is itself not very good or not very intensive. And therefore, for the business to immediately adopt to any kind of service, whether transactional or business management related, is practically non-existent. So these are the three learnings I thought I would share with the panel.
Fair enough, sir. Quickly, I'll ask Mr. Garewal. Tomorrow, if my data size grows beyond limits, say into terabytes or petabytes, and then suddenly my management says that okay, we have to, move that application in-house. How to do that?
In this whole industry, because of the economies of scale which someone like a large operator can bring and continuously reduce costs, so the costs are actually very, very low as compared to what someone individually who might be wanting to do this on their own is. So there are one or two things which need to be seen and factored in. The first is that when someone is doing it in a traditional manner, that you're buying a server, you're buying a switch, you're buying routers, you're buying all kinds of things, and then your storage, backup, it's not easy to figure out as to what my total cost is. It's a very kind of a dissipated kind of a system, so it's not easy to figure out. Whereas in this kind of a system, the first is that you get a very, very good estimate because you get a real bill for the first time. For the first time, most organizations realize that this is my actual costs. Otherwise, it is very hard to figure out because everything is so diffuse. That is actually the fact of the matter. Now, however, the other important part about this whole cost discussion is because of the nature of the service. Since the nature of the service, as I had mentioned, is a service, it's very much like electricity. So, just like at our homes, right, when we consume electricity, if in summer kind of a month, in May, June, the kind of summers that we have, in the night we switch on the AC, but if we do not remember to switch off the AC or some other lights, right, then at the end of the month we are going to get a high bill. It's exactly very similar over here, that if we are not very careful, that is one, as to what all exactly we are using. And secondly, if there is not some kind of a control, in the sense that someone, and typically this is a change in role which is happening, like there was some mention about the IT person feeling that what I'm going to do, there's a little bit of a threat. And similarly, purchase people, right? That's another people which we haven't spoken about, because here the costs are fixed. There's no negotiations, as an example. You don't have to waste any time in negotiations. So what do the purchase people do if they are not negotiating? So that is where there's a little bit of a change in role which is happening of IT people and purchase people, that rather than negotiating, they have to start optimizing. So there has to be some kind of a conscious effort on these people, IT leaders, the purchase people, to take some kind of a note as to what exactly is being used, because it is so easy to use these services. Some people can simply start using so many services which are actually not going to be used or actual for good purpose. So it's extremely important that someone kind of takes some note, and if that note is not there, then the cost can actually go beyond a budget or something like that. But that is an important factor. If there's no control as to what you're doing, that's where the cost can actually go high. Just very similar to an electricity kind of a thing. The second thing which you asked about as to how when the data grows big, and I wish I was able to show you a video actually which we had shown in one of our events which just happened in Las Vegas last in November, where we actually so I'll come to this very quickly. But in terms of how do you move data, so when you have large amounts of data, we have several services. So it's not just servers or networking or storage, but we have several, like I mentioned, there are 100 services. One of them is also related to moving of this data. So what we provide several services over there is that one is that you can actually have a direct link between your location and our data center, just like a lease line or an MPLS kind of a connection. Second is, for large amounts of data, you can actually put your data on your own hard disk and ship it to us. And similarly, the question was, how do you move it back? So you can send a hard disk, we can put it on your hard disk and send it back. So it's as simple as that. And then we have actually introduced some kind of boxes which are like briefcases, which are extremely secure, which has the capacity of terabytes of data. We call it a snowball. So we send that device to you. You can put your data and send it to us, or we can, if your data is already on AWS, we can put that data on that and send it back to you. And coming back to that quickly, to that video which I don't have, but just now that the kind of trucks that are there in the US, the big trailers, so that truck was there on our stage. We actually brought a physical truck, and that truck is now is actually a storage shipment device that you can transfer 1,000 petabytes of data onto that, and that entire truck will come to a data center and the entire data can move. So there are all the options available. If you want, it's your data, you are the owner, you are free to move data in and out at your convenience.
Well, thank you, Mr. Garewal.
Thank you.